Hello, this is Cuckoo. How are you, wonderful humans out there? I hope you're good. It's lovely to see you. And as a matter of fact, I saw many of you this previous week where I went to Berlin Super Booth. It's a cultural electronic music event / trade fair where a lot of nerds are presenting their latest and most interesting new electronic musical instrument things. And I was there and I got stomach sick and it was terrible. But until that point, I had a wonderful time. After, not so much. But I'm back now. My system is cleansed and balanced. Sorry, too much. Am I oversharing? Sorry. But I had a great time. And what I did there during my time in Berlin was to play 2 gigs. First day of Super Booth, I performed at Teenage Engineering's release party of the new compact mixer, and then on Saturday I performed at Korg's booth in the forest there, and that was also wonderful. So in this video I thought I'd go through my my setup for the gig and for my live kind of rig. And beforehand I was preparing to do one set with a whole new type of setup, new music, everything, but I didn't quite get there in terms of playtime, so I got to about 20 minutes of new music. But I felt like in order to play a show I need at least at the very least 30 minutes, but probably more like 40 minutes, and I feel like good. If I can perform like 40 minutes, I can stretch it to 45 and it'll be a good show. At the one that I performed at Korg's booth in the forest, at the actual Super Booth, 30 minutes is a good length. Like a 30-minute slot at a festival, that's good. But Teenage Engineering's party, I felt like 30 minutes was too little. So I plopped in an older device into the setup. I'll show you. So first of all, I took everything and pre-mounted everything in this performance case called Unison from Analog Cases. It's a really nice and sturdy case. I've been using it a lot. I'll show you exactly what I have in it. And but this time around, I kind of stretched it a little bit too far. So on my way back from Super Booth, I got a crack on the Tonverk on the plastic screen. So be careful. Don't be overly optimistic of what you can pack into it and how tight. So be very thorough when you pack your performance case. Even if you think like nothing is moving in there, you know, it gets tossed around by the personnel at the airport and stuff happens. So, but nothing broke like properly or seriously. So everything is fully intact, and it's not Analog Cases' fault. It's my fault. Lesson learned. I will pack with much greater care in the future. Enough of talk. Let's get into it. I'll show you what the rig looked like and play a little song maybe of one of the new things that I'm working on. And it went really, really well, I have to say. Performing at these 2 events or 2 gigs, it went really well. People responded wonderfully. I'm so thankful for that, because up until the point of performing, I was very stressed. Felt like I didn't have enough material. Was it even good enough? Was it interesting enough, this new music? And then I played it and got wonderful reception. So thank you so much for coming to the gigs and for staying and for hanging out. Wonderful. All right, I'll show you my setup and play 1 or 2 songs. Let's go. All right, so here we go. Well, the thing with this performance case is that the lid just pops off and then you're ready to go. That's the whole idea with a performance case like this. And I've used the case many times, and it's always been such a relief to just have everything set up, ready to go. Just plug in the power, plug in the audio, and you're ready to go. This time, maybe I packed it a little bit too full, but let's see what's in it. So I'm collecting stuff like this from other bags, and then I use it again to just put it in place so that I can stabilize whatever is inside. And it's really good to cling on to these padded foamy material. This one is my filler. As I said, I only came to about 20 minutes of the new material, so I brought this one out, and because I knew that I had my Ringtones album set on here that I've never performed live ever before, and so I thought that would be like a nice little kind of filler or something to extend the set with, and it turned out it was so much fun. I can't believe I've never played this before live. One thing I realized as I tried it out was that the model cycles, it's so lightweight, so you can hold it in one hand and play it like so. And I was just jumping around and playing it with one hand like so, and sometimes like this, sometimes like this. It's such a fun little form factor, and yeah, I like it. Yeah, so underneath here, I've got my trustworthy Monolit. It's from a smaller company out of Tokyo called Lightreft, and this is by far my favorite MIDI controller. Out of all MIDI controllers, this is by far my favorite. I mean, it looks kind of simple. It has a bunch of really nice features. Maybe I should do a tutorial on this, because it's not only a great compact form factor, but it has some really nice features as well. Alright, so another layer of protective foam. Let's disconnect this for now. And here we got my 3D printed add-ons for my little system here to kind of manipulate the Phase 8. Have a crystal I could put in here. I've got, let's see, magnet. Can quickly retune. Let's see, another magnet. I keep some magnets here in order to quickly kind of be able to just retune something very, very quickly. And then I had this here, which is kind of in snare drum territory. These add-ons, they kind of rattle, so they are more in the maybe hi-hat territory. Let's put a rocket. These little mint containers is something I kind of collect. Typically what I use it for is for like extenders, like mini jack to jack converters, and yeah, like this one is for RCA to jack converters, because that's something you never know when you run into. Suddenly you need to connect to a DJ mixer and all you have is jack, and then yeah, you're set. You have like whatever you need to convert to that with Velcro. Ready to go. Okay, this is my trustworthy Sennheiser E935. It's something I use mostly for live shows when I need a mic, and also for interviews, for videos. Like a vocal microphone, they have great background rejection, like from this ring and down behind the ring. It rejects audio very well, so it also works really well for interviews. So here is the power to everything, just ready to go. I always try to organize it so that everything is wired, everything is powered. All you need to do is connect the power and it's ready to go. Very quick to set up at a live venue, and it's so convenient. Also, ease of mind. And yes, something I tried out for the first time this year was these new ones from IKEA. These are 20 watts and a really nice form factor, so that could be used for a lot of things. I like them. So here we go. I got the Tonverk. I got the new mixer from Teenage Engineering, the Sidekick, and I got Phase 8. Let's power everything up. Here we go. Here we go. Power this one up. This one is powered through USB, so it's powered from here. All right, output. There we go. In this setup here, this is the master output. This is the main music machine going into here, and this is going out. This one is going into here as well. The microphone is being powered by the Colorbox version 2, which is also going into Tonverk. So Tonverk is the master in this case, and this one I used it mostly at the Teenage Engineering event because it was new and they wanted to feature it in use on stage. So I fired it up, but it turned out it was so nice, so I used it at the second event as well. It was really, really nice. And then the model cycles went into channel 2 here on the mixer, so I could very quickly just plug this in and play it. Okay, everything is powered. Powering stuff is maybe one of the first things you need to kind of consider. Should everything have its own power adapter? How big is that going to be? Is it going to be inconvenient? This one could be powered straight from a USB adapter, but I didn't really have the specifications in my head. So this is currently powered with the original, but this builds up a little cable length and a little size as well. So maybe not the most convenient. These two USB adapters, one is powering the mixer. This could also run on two AAA batteries. I have that just in case there will be some power failure, but I really like to run it on power so that I know it's not going to suddenly run out of power. This one is powered by the original AC adapter, and this one is powered through USB, and I'm using my volts adapter here. So it's taking USB and it's converting that to standard 9-volt negative center, and then I'm using one of these ripcord extension cables from my volts to get it here, because I think sticking this straight into here, that is the leverage if the cable would be yanked, that is scaring me. So I don't want that scenario. So this extension cable doesn't have the same kind of leverage if the cable is yanked. So nice. So what is everything? Tonverk, the main composer music machine. Lightreft Monolit, this is a MIDI controller. KO Sidekick, it's a performance mixer, I'd say. Very convenient and nice. Phase 8, electromagnetic half acoustic synthesizer. Colorbox V2, a high-end mixer console mixing strip with preamp, so you can amp a mic, a dynamic mic with no problems. It's got EQ, 3-band EQ, and high pass, and several gain stages, so you can try out various levels of distortion where you gain it more and more and more, and gain and master. And this turned out to be so incredibly high-end, it feels like having a real high-end analog mixing table where you just plug in your microphone and do all of the basic controls. Totally analog. It's kind of Neve quality level of quality. This is where I keep my microphone when it's in the case, so it's padded and stays in place. And then I created this little gap, so this is a resting place for the microphone. It's actually, that's the way I planned it. It's like have a place where I can put the microphone, and when I'm not using it, I disengage the pedal, and when I'm using it, I engage with the pedal. Hello, hello, hello. This one is going straight into here, but we can hear both of them, so it sounds a little bit like some phasing is going on, but there is no phasing going on. It's only because we heard both microphones at the same time. Yeah, all right, so this is the setup. And as you can see, I've spaced everything out, right? I've optimized and I've pushed this mixer a little bit up there in case I want to plug in a headphone here. On the back of all of this stuff, I'm using Velcro. because this case has Velcro. I have to say, there's no such thing as using too much Velcro. There is such thing as using too little. On this one, I was using too little, so the bottom end comes up very easily right now. Bad judgment on my behalf. So that means when it's in the case, it might kind of rattle out of place and start messing up. So use an appropriate amount of Velcro if you want to make it totally safe. This one also maybe I'm using just a tad too little Velcro on the Phase 8 and probably on this one as well. So I need to stack up my Velcro game. This one though, super tight and it's in place. One thing about using a proper amount of Velcro is if it starts moving around a little bit and stuff is plugged in, like this one is a MIDI. As you can see, the MIDI cable is just too close to the edge of this pedal. So what happened was that it was moving around a little bit, and it actually bent the MIDI cable that was plugged in, which made me freak out. So it also made me realize how much you need to kind of think about safety when setting up things like this. So this one, I plugged it out the next travel. All right, so Tonverk patterns are organized in banks. In bank 1, I've got all my sketches. Bank 2 is where the first song starts, and it starts like this. And during this, I was planning on talking. Let's mute this microphone for now. Check, check, check. Yeah, and now we're here. And one thing with having such a robust mixer and EQ is that you can actually use the bass for talking. Maybe you need a little bit more bass, and then maybe if you're kind of rapping or singing, maybe you turn down the bass just a bit. And during this kind of introduction, I also wanted to introduce a little effect, like hello, welcome,
this is Cuckoo.
So I prepared a little effect
Here on the Tonverk.
and just to have a little bit of fun and maybe also some epic reverb. Preparing all of this in advance to have some tools at my fingertips that I can
Fool around with
during the
performance.
and so I did. This song was kind of inspired by a famous song, which made me think of this phrase. I'm gonna head to the next pattern. So now we're kind of in the actual performance of the song, and here I started to say it like this: My name is
Cuckoo.
And it became kind of an introduction song, and I think we can all hear where I draw my inspiration from. A famous rap song. I'm not a rapper. Yeah. My name is Cuckoo.
Cuckoo. Yeah.
And then I have a bunch of effects that I can kind of play around with when it makes sense. One thing when you're preparing stuff like this, you have a sort of open element, my voice. It always relies so heavily on the response of the audience. So it's a communication between you and the audience. And I've been on stage many times by now, and I know that there is a response, and I can kind of navigate that back and forth between me and the audience. And it's something I enjoy as an artist to kind of explore that and to be in the moment extra much during that performance. One thing that I was not really prepared for when I kind of put my voice into Tonverk was how tight it was. I was expecting more latency in the audio domain, to be honest, because I applied some effects. There is some compression, and this one
is adding a little bit, of course, because this is technically a delay.
But this is holding up really well, and even though you stack up effects, it's not adding that much in terms of latency, and that surprised me in a very positive way. However, if you do it twice in a row, like now, this is going into Sidekick. Now this is also a digital mixer, and that is also bound to have a small buffer of some sort of latency. It will add a tiny bit of latency. I'm not sure what throughput latency is, but it is noticeable when you stack up two digital audio devices after each other. It will suddenly you will feel it. If I were to yank this and go straight from here, I was almost not noticing it. But now with two digital in series, I can kind of start to notice. Yeah, so keep that in mind when you're stacking up stuff, especially for a voice. If you were to play drums, it's also very, very noticeable if you have like several digital effects in series. That is also something that you will start to feel the latency. But so far in this setup, it's fine. If I were to sing though, I think maybe I'll cut out one middle device. If I were to really sing, because then you need like super tight control and feedback to your ears of what you're doing with your voice. Now it's fine that there is a tad of latency. And then I keep going with the music. Like in this case, I have this pattern here. I like it. So with this controller then, I started to prepare various things on each of these. I had like a common kind of control language that is the same across the whole set. So this one is the drums, specifically mostly the kick drum, kind of taking out the kick drum. Let's see what I have here. Taking out the kick drum, kind of muting it away. And with this button here, I'm sending to the reverb, to one of the reverb. As you can hear, is a kind of metallic type of reverb. And the next one is for drum pitch bend. And this one for sending to the other effect. Delay. Fun. Then I have like two ways of expressing something with the rhythms. Which is fun. The next one I'm using for manipulating the bass. In this case, a weird stereo frequency shifter. So let's listen to that. And the resting position for all the effects, I set it up to be at the bottom, so I can always return to the bottom. The next one I'm using for lead, let's see. And on each song, it will be like different things. So in this case, this is the mod wheel. And in this case, for the bass, also the mod wheel. Here, for the pitch bend of the drums, it's actually the pitch bend. And the first one is also mod wheel. So I'm setting up here on the Tonverk. I'm setting up here in the trig setup menu. Making modulation wheel So we see the value here. It's actually the mod wheel, MIDI CC1, and then I'm making it do all of these things to the sound. And then the next one is the grade for one of the buses, bus 12, and 12 is I think this one. Yeah, and this one is doing some crunchy stuff on bus number 9, which would be the drums. And this one is using the freeze effect on the drum bus. So if we mute everything else. Oh, sorry. And it's a bit of randomness to it, so I'm never quite sure what's going to happen. Yeah. And the next one, let's see which we are here now. Yeah, this is for vocal. Reverb. Delay. Yo! I'm using this one more as kind of punch-in. Yo! Like, yo! Do! Boom! Stuff like that. And
Maybe in combination with this. Yo! Yo!
which I thought had a good place in the live show. Those are kind of the controls that I keep using for the live show, and for every song, everything that is manipulated through CC1, which is the mod wheel, will be kind of tailored to the specific song. So in another song, like the lead instrument might do something else to that lead instrument of that song. Alright, so let's see what we've got here. Let's see, next one. And then we come to this place here, this first song. And I was kind of going back and forth on the idea of actually bringing a keyboard. I didn't bring a keyboard, but I set it up so this one, track number 5 there, it's a sort of fluffy keyboard. Should I play it? And I think I ended up playing it on one of the shows a little bit, but like playing 1 octave, the range is a little bit small. Let's see. And I can mute it. I think with a keyboard, that song could be extended maybe a minute with a keyboard solo, but with here, I felt like maybe I only had, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds of a shot to play something. But with a keyboard, I could kind of take it to other places and mute everything and be more kind of subtle with my improvisation. Let's see. And then we came here. And here, this is an experiment, because one of the shows was at Korg's booth, and Korg wanted this to be implemented in the show. So everyone playing at Korg's scene or stage were playing the Phase 8 to some extent. And I always wanted to see what I could do with Phase 8 and Tonverk. So what I did was I set up a MIDI track on 8, track 8. So if I mute everything else except the drum track and go back one track, let's see. Here, you can see this flashing. We're basically almost entirely playing samples. So if I mute this, you see there's one little sound here and there. So if we go to track 8 here, let's see, where is it? One. So what I did, that was a MIDI track on Tonverk can also receive audio and have an audio effect chain. So I've stacked up two effects here that I thought were good effects to kind of tailor each trig. Right now I'm just playing it in one setting. Kind of enhancing it with what's it called again? Dirt Shaper and Filter Folder. So I'm using those two, and also I'm using the LFOs to kind of open up and drive them a little bit, exactly only when I press it, to kind of drive them and push them a little bit. And this worked so incredibly well and made this such a much more versatile kind of expression, playable and tweakable sound. So what that means is that on every trig, let's go to the next pattern here. On every trig, like this one is heavily, it's a bunch of trigs here. On every trig, I can make tweaks to the effect chain, and which I very much did. So listen to this. This is only the phase 8 now with processing here. Like everything else is muted. If I were to only play it, we can hear that kind of the default setting that I've set kind of makes it a little snappy and poppy, but when I press play now, we can hear a much wider range, and it's because at every trig I'm making heavy use of the effects change. So let's see what I did here. Did some folding, changed to a high pass, did some adjustments here to the distortion, and then the other effect, some stuff there too. So I'm using it as a per trig audio mangler or enhancer. So how about those hi-hats? Yeah, it's a mix of a bunch of carefully explored tweaks to the effect. Like the rectifier is one of them that is kind of making it go up an octave somehow, and then yeah, of course the high pass, and yeah, a bunch of tweaks. And how about these very, very rich bass drums? Suddenly we're on the C there. Without the tweaking, that would sound like this. With the tweak, without tweak. So that gives me the power to very carefully tailor and kind of master each trig, and also to send to the sound effects. I thought this was so much fun, and I wanted to see how I could kind of go from samples and then to this, and yeah, it's an experiment. It's something that I enjoyed very much. So with all of the tracks. That's fun. And then we ended this song here. And also, I think bear in mind that this is a live performance. If I were to make a record out of this, like a song for an album, I think I would have needed to go in a much, much greater detail. And also the song itself is very kind of jam-like at this point. I think for something that I would put out on a record, I would feel like I want to make it more complete in the kind of compositional department. So here's the next song, starting out like this. And I think all in all of the songs, I wanted them to feel like it was happening right here, right now. We're taking part in this together. Also leaving room for talking with the audience as this is playing. This kind of a waiting mode where I'm like, hello, everyone doing well? Super booth.
Super booth.
Yes. Like building up a vibe and communication and see where people respond and kind of latch on to that a little bit. And then as we're ready, cue up a pattern change and get ready for that. Yeah.
Cool.
And I wanted this song to be kind of something that built up to something big. I wanted to feel that something big was happening. Same thing here, same controls. And so forth. And then we came to pattern number 5 here. I wanted to kind of stop for a bit and then start building up something very, very grand and epic. So we got here. And during this, I'm doing much of stuff to the rhythms. Kind of build up and as we come to this maximum, just hang here for a while and then just kind of swimming around in this epic place. Then I decide when it's kind of time to go to the next pattern. Just feel it out. How much can I ride this feeling? And here it's even more kind of chill. Same thing here. Let's see, how long can I stay here? Here, maybe this was sort of a showcase. I did the same thing here. I just kind of switched from samples over to the Phase 8. And what I could do here now is to do kind of the same effects, but now it's doing on the Phase 8. So this is not samples. Or maybe there's one kick drum there. And then I wanted to do kind of the same riser again after some time. Let's see. Then we get to kind of a repeat of what we did earlier, but now with the phase 8 drums, they have a bit more sonic kind of, I'm not sure, I wouldn't say, yeah, depth. It's interesting, it's kind of peculiar sound. Same thing here. I write it out, see what it feels like, how long can I stay here, what makes sense, and after some time I hit a pattern change. And now back to samples. Yeah, so that's the way I wanted to sort of build these songs up. I wanted to try and find a different type of, a different type of shape and form that was maybe a bit more progressive than what I typically do. My songs are typically more kind of song structured, but here I wanted to build a grander progression and see if I could do that. Actually, I really enjoy how this turned out and shaped up. Yeah. Alright, so maybe you want to see how vocals is going straight into here. How do you do that? First of all, you go to the master page, go to source, and here you can set up where in A and in B is routed. So in B, which is the microphone, in B is routed straight out to bus 3 in my case. And I set this up on every track. You can set some stuff like this up to be per project, but I feel like I'm missing out on some possibilities by doing that, so I'm doing it on every pattern. Routed bus 3. So go to bus 3. I got my bus bunny here to know where bus 3 is. It's right there. One thing with the buses is that every bus also has an EQ, which is a really nice EQ. So you can make like further adjustments here if you wish. I have this as an EQ, so I can do EQ stuff on this in hardware, analog domain, which is nice. Then I go out to the effects here. So on the effects, I have two effects. One, chrono pitch. So when I press this one, as you can see here, I'm changing this CC message. So I'm using this to, and then this one is tuning this one. And this is hard coded. This is kind of CC, let's see which one it is. We are a channel 11, yes, and CC number 48. And I've set up minimum and maximum values of this. So that you can see here, my maximum value here only goes to 2 o'clock. And my minimum value here only goes to 10 o'clock. And then this one
is turning it on and off. Basically, I'm sending
a value to this parameter, which is, let's see, button, channel 11 toggle CC number 55, minimum 0, maximum 127. So this becomes then a dry wet toggle. All
effect and now
I can do this. So,
how come this becomes a pitch shifter? Well, it's because I set the window to 0. If I were to set the window, then first of all, we have a delay now.
and it becomes really difficult with this long
delay. So I need to keep the window at 0. We have an artifact. We can hear this artifact, kind of a feedback phasing.
Yeah. Just need to find
find it where it kind of makes sense. Yeah.
And yeah, there it is. So this one is actually changing the parameters on the actual track.
So if I
leave it in
this state and then go to another pattern, it's gonna stay like this
the next time I play it. So I need to kind of keep that in mind, because sometimes I want to go back and then go forward again. And also the next time I save, all the changes, all the destructive changes I might have done will also be saved. So I try to always reload the pattern when I start out, and when I create the songs, I make sure that I restart first and then create all the changes for the songs, and try to not leave it in states like this where it should be in this state. If, however, I do all of that with expressions like the modulation wheel and breath controller, if I would do it that way, I'm more safe, because they're always returned to 0. But on the buses, you can't do that. Not sure why. It would be nice if I could do that on the buses as well, but you can't. So you need to do direct changes to the tracks. Maybe I'll show you real quick this. Let's see. So everything is playing. Let's head up to a pattern. I was doing stuff like that on the fly, and somehow this is always trying to measure the rhythm and the beat, so that all the effects that have timing in them, they're always in time. Let's try another song. How about this one? And many of my songs, it's not like entirely clear what the beat is. So let's press it now. I think it's doing a great job. So this is doing a great job, always staying in time with all of the timed effects. And I had a tape effect as well. Which I think is also doing a great job. I mean, you can fast forward at any point. That is a contradiction in itself, because it's an audio effect. So it's always keeping a buffer in the tape machine. So if I'm starting from scratch now, it's not going to be a buffer. But after a cycle, there is a buffer. It's so seamless. It's really clever, and I think it works really well. And also with this beat mashing that is very tight. Yeah. And I think I found myself using the EQ at some point, where there's one of the songs, maybe it was here. No, it was on the Modular Cycles actually. But if I'm feeling like, it's a bit too much mids, just turn it down. Maybe I need bass. Sounds a little bit more full. And just having an EQ, a 3-band EQ, that's just available. Like, there you go. More mid, less mids, more bass. It's really nice. And I think it sounds good, actually. So I'm pleasantly surprised by the Sidekick. It made it into my setup, and it stayed for my 2 gigs. Yeah. Right. I think that's it for today. Yeah. I think that's it. How do you like it? If there is anything you kind of feel like I skipped over too fast, there is stuff I skipped over too fast. Let me know in the comments and see if I can clear something out for you. And remember that we're all human here. So human to human in the comments, and be kind to each other. And hope to see you soon. I'm playing very soon, actually, a small gig in Ålesund, which is slightly north of where I'm living. Just a 2-hour drive. And I'm going to announce that very soon. I'm going to play much of this. We'll see how much makes it. This, to be honest, it's a little bit heavy to lug around. So we'll see if this stays, or if I'm going to kind of sample this and keep the sounds. We'll see. And then at the 6th of June, I'm playing at Musikfest Oslo in Oslo. So yeah, check it out. See you soon. You're rock, and you're all human. I love that. Peace out, everyone.